out and begged them to leave the city. And when Paul and Silas left the prison, they returned to the home of Lydia. There they met with the believers and encouraged them once more. Then they left town. You see, Luke makes it clear here that what was done to Paul and Silas was against the law. You see, the city officials violated the law when they ordered Paul and Silas to be beaten because they were, in fact, Roman citizens. I think Paul and Silas's response was appropriate here. Paul makes it known to the police that his rights as a Roman citizen had been violated. Before they leave town, they call attention to the city officials' unjust acts. But notice they didn't demand justice. They didn't demand an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. They didn't demand that the city officials be beaten with wooden rods as they had been beaten. Instead of meting out justice, they chose to extend mercy. The city officials extended an apology, and Paul and Silas let them off the hook. Literally. And at the same time, they were letting them know that they weren't going to get away with being mistreated. It's a powerful story in the book of Acts that deals with justice and injustice. So how should we respond when we experience injustice in our world?
It's got all sorts of noise, other than just the video.
Video, mute something.
This morning I want to share with
Get rid of that. Mute that. Mute the people with the microphone. Okay.
when we strive to act justly. The first principle deals with our expectations. The principle is this: on this side of heaven, we will continue to observe and experience injustice. Friends, it's not going away. It's more than an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Protesting will never result in the elimination of unjust acts. As we saw in our call to worship this morning, we are to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. All of those actions require a change of heart. And that change of heart requires a relationship with Jesus Christ. So the best thing that we can do to address injustice in our world is to make disciples of Jesus, who in turn make disciples of Jesus, who in turn make disciples of Jesus, that their hearts may be transformed with the power of the gospel. So on this side of heaven, we will continue to observe and experience injustice. The second principle deals with our natural response to injustice. You see, the principle is this, that our natural response to injustice is to demand justice. As I've watched the news this week, I've watched people protesting in cities all across America. I've watched people seeking justice for the injustices done. And in their actions, they have done injustice. And I've been asking myself questions like, what is the desired outcome from all of the protests? And is the desired outcome even realistic apart from the transformation of a human heart? I've been asking myself the questions, what does justice even look like in regards for the murder of George Floyd? Is it another death? Is it another killing? Another murder? Is it looting? Is it more violence? Or how about this question? What role does mercy play in all of this? I know my questions may not be popular because our natural response is to demand justice in the face of injustice. The third principle that I want to call your attention to this morning highlights the world's approach to injustice. The principle is this: the world's demand for justice, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, results in a never-ending cycle of injustice. It will never go away. But there is another approach to injustice. It's the approach that Paul and Silas took in Acts chapter 16. And the principle is this: the cycle of injustice can only be broken by extending mercy. Grace is messy. But the cycle can only be broken by extending mercy. You see, what Paul and Silas were doing in Acts chapter 16 was simply modeling their Savior's response to the most unjust act in all of human history. Think about that. They were modeling Jesus' response to the most unjust act in all of human history. Would you pray with me? God, we come to this moment, at least I do, with all sorts of questions and all sorts of emotions, with all sorts of experiences that are painful. And God, there are times that we want to just sit and weep and cry because of the injustice in our world. And God, we could respond in the way that the world responds, by demanding justice. By seeking revenge, by retaliating, by living in accordance with the principle of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But God, you show us a different way. And your Son humbled himself to the point of death on a cross. The most unjust act in all of human history. So that we would be forgiven. So that Paul and Silas would have the opportunity to interface with Lydia in the city of Philippi. And he would have the opportunity to talk about Jesus and that she would believe and she would be baptized, and her whole household would do the same. And God, you sent Paul and Silas into this situation. You called them there. And they endured mistreatment and injustice. But somehow, God, they were able to maintain a perspective that allowed them to realize that nothing that they were to experience would be as unjust as what you, through your Son Jesus, had to endure. So God, as we go from this place, may you help us to act justly. May we love mercy. And God, may we walk humbly with you. For we pray this in your Son's name. Amen.
Thank you for worshiping God this morning. We have just a couple of announcements before you go. First, we are looking for some volunteers to help take care of the lawn from the summer to the fall. If you are willing to help keep our grounds looking nice, you can sign up by clicking on the link included in our weekly email, or you can complete the online connection card and select the lawn care option. The Wesleyan Church has produced an 8-week prayer guide called Together, which is designed to encourage us to pray specifically for God to pour His Spirit out upon His church. Today, more than ever, we need to pray together. I want to encourage you to join Dr. Wayne Schmidt, the General Superintendent of Wesleyan Church, on Fridays at 11 a.m. via Facebook Live, as he hosts a 15-minute prayer time, which will focus on each of the prayer prompts over the next several weeks. If you would like to download a copy of the prayer guide, we included a link in our weekly email newsletter, and we have posted it on social media for you to access at any time. A new month means a new theme for our children's ministry. This month's theme in First Look, which is for those who are ages 3 to 5 years old, is I Spy. And the theme in Studio 252, which is for those who are in K through 5 grade, is Focus. Take a closer look. If you would like to access this week's children's ministry resources, please see our weekly email newsletter or let us know by completing the online connection card and selecting the ministry option. Finally, if you would like to financially support the ministry of Olathe Wesleyan Church, you can give by texting the amount of your gift to 913-380-0595. Or you can give online by going to alathewesleyan.org/giving. Or if you're joining us in person this morning, you can place your offering in the box at the back wall. As we wrap up our service this morning, I want to leave you with the words of Micah the prophet. As he has shown you, O mortal, what is good, what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. May our actions this week reflect those words. Have an epic